The abandoned. The galaxy was full of stars, but in one small corner there was silence. The Thrynn, an old alien race, lived on broken worlds. Once, they had been proud builders. Their towers had touched the sky, and their voices carried wisdom across the stars. But now their cities were ruins. Their food was running out. Their children were sick. The Thrynn leaders had begged the Galactic Council for help. They had stood in the great hall of shining marble, under the light of 10 suns, and they had bowed. "We ask only for shelter," they said. "We ask only for life." But the council had turned away. The voices of the councillors echoed in the chamber. The Thrynn are too weak. They cannot pay. They bring nothing of value to the galaxy. One by one, every world, every empire, every powerful race closed their doors. The Thrynn left the council hall with lowered eyes. Hope had broken inside them like glass falling from high. When they returned to their dying world, they told their people the truth. No one is coming. That night, across their ruined cities, the people sat in silence. Fires burned in broken streets. Mothers held their children close. Old men stared at the empty sky. They waited for the end. But the stars were not empty. At the edge of the Thrynn system, a shadow appeared. At first, they thought it was another raider fleet, ready to steal the little that was left. Fear spread quickly. Families ran to hide in the deep caves. The old fighters prepared their ancient rifles, though they knew they could not win. Then the ships came closer. Not raiders, not council fleets. Their shape was strange, rough, not like the sleek alien designs the Thrynn had always known. They were human ships. No one expected them. The humans did not broadcast threats. They did not demand payment. Their fleet held position in silence, their gray hulls reflecting the dying sun of the Thrynn homeworld. Days passed, and still the humans did not leave. The Thrynn elders argued among themselves. Why are they here? They will rob us. No, they wait for us to beg so they can laugh at us. But the humans did not laugh. On the 5th day, a single human ship broke formation and descended. It landed in the middle of a ruined square, where once the Thrynn had built their greatest temple. The ground trembled as its engines cooled. The Thrynn gathered, watching from shadows, whispering in fear. The ramp fell open with a hiss of air. A man walked down. His armor was scarred, his face lined with years of war, but his eyes were calm. Behind him came others, carrying crates of supplies. Food, medicine, clean water. The Thrynn did not move. They only watched. For too long they had been betrayed, abandoned, ignored. They could not believe this was real. The human captain looked at them and spoke, his voice steady. "You are not alone anymore." No one breathed. The words cut through, the silence like fire through dry grass. Still, doubt remained. The Thrynn elder, old and bent, stepped forward. His voice shook. "Why? Why would you come here? The council has turned us away. We have nothing to give you. Nothing." The captain did not answer with politics or demands or speeches. He only said, "Because no one else would." The Thrynn trembled. For the first time in years, they felt something stir inside them. A small thing, a dangerous thing. Hope. Children crept from hiding and touched the crates. Mothers wept as they saw water clear as crystal. The elder bowed, his forehead almost touching the dirt. In the shadows, a young Thrynn girl whispered, "Are they truly here for us?" And in the silence of the ruined city, under the broken towers and fading stars, the answer had already begun. For the galaxy had turned away. But the humans had stepped forward, and nothing would ever be the same again. The decision. The news spread fast. The galaxy could not believe it. Humans had chosen to stand with the Thrynn. In the council halls, where crystal walls glowed with endless light, voices rose in anger. The ambassadors of great empires leaned forward with narrowed eyes. Humans interfere again. They risk balance. They are reckless as always. One alien counselor slammed his hand on the table. The Thrynn are finished. Why waste resources on corpses? But humans were not in that hall. They were in the dust of broken cities, building shelters, handing out food, and teaching Thrynn children to hold hope again. The Thrynn could not understand it. Their people asked questions in the streets. Why do humans fight for us? Do they want something hidden? Do they plan to use us as tools? The elders gathered with the human captain in a ruined chamber, once a place of worship. The walls were cracked, the ceiling open to the stars. Firelight flickered as they faced each other. The oldest Thrynn elder raised his voice, rough and shaking. We must know. What do you want from us? Do you want our planets? Do you want our people as soldiers? The captain shook his head. No, we only want you alive. The room fell silent. No one had ever said that to them before. But not everyone trusted. A younger Thrynn leader hissed with suspicion. The galaxy mocks us. If we stand with you, we will bring danger. Raiders will come. The council will punish us both. The captain's eyes hardened. Then let them come. Those words echoed in the ruined hall like thunder. The elders looked at one another. Something strange filled their hearts. Fear was still there, yes, but alongside it was a spark of pride. That night the humans began to build. They laid metal across stone. They raised shields around the cities. They planted banners of their own, not to claim land, but to mark protection. From orbit, human ships moved like silent wolves, watching every shadow. Raiders who once circled the Thrynn world now hesitated. They expected weakness but found walls of steel. Then the first test came. A fleet of raiders, ships painted with blood and fire, jumped into the system. They laughed across comms. Humans, you are far from home. Leave now and we will spare you. The human fleet did not answer. The raiders moved closer, weapons hot. They thought it would be easy. Weak prey, desperate aliens, foolish humans. Then the sky lit up. The humans attacked first. Their ships broke formation, moving in patterns no alien commander had seen before. They used asteroids as cover, fired missiles from hidden angles, and tricked the raiders into their own traps. Explosions burned across the stars. Raider ships scattered, some destroyed, others running for safety. On the ground, the Thrynn watched the sky turn red with fire. For the first time in centuries, they cheered. Their children screamed with joy instead of fear. Their elders wept in silence. After the battle, the human captain stood among the people. His armor was scorched, his eyes heavy with loss, but his voice was steady. You are under our shield now, and a shield does not break. The galaxy watched from afar. The council sneered, whispering that humans were wasting themselves. But in the shadows of a dying world, something powerful was being born: trust. For when the humans chose to stay, it was not just a mission. It was a decision that would change everything. The sacrifice. The smoke of the last battle still hung in the air. The Thrynn walked through their broken streets with new eyes. For the first time in years, they did not walk like prey. They walked like people who had protectors. But peace did not last. Far away in hidden corners of the galaxy, powerful enemies gathered. Warlords, raider kings, and forgotten empires whispered one word: humans. They had done what no one else dared. They had taken in the unwanted. And that act was a challenge to the Order of the Stars. Soon, fleets began to move. Bigger than raider bands. Stronger. Crueler. A storm was coming. The Thrynn elders learned of this, and their hearts filled with fear. One night, under the broken dome of their old council chamber, they faced the human captain again. You should leave, the eldest Thrynn said. His voice was low and heavy. If you stay, you will die with us. The galaxy does not forgive those who protect the weak. The human captain stood silent for a long moment. His face was pale, his armor scratched from battle. Finally, he shook his head. No, we stay. The younger Thrynn shouted. Why? You owe us nothing. You have no blood here, no roots, no debt. The captain's eyes grew hard, but his voice was calm. We stay because we remember what it is to be abandoned. We stay because no one else would. That is enough. The room fell silent. The elders could not answer. And so, the humans prepared. They taught the Thrynn to fight again. Old weapons were repaired. New defenses were built. Children carried supplies. Farmers became watchmen. Mothers stood guard at shelters. The weak were no longer only victims, but humans paid the price. They were far from home. Supplies ran thin. Every battle cost lives. Young soldiers who had never seen Earth fell in foreign dirt, far from the blue skies they once knew. One evening, as the twin moons rose, the Thrynn watched humans bury their dead. The soldiers stood in rows, helmets pressed to their chests. A single name was spoken for each fallen. No one laughed. No one mocked. A Thrynn child pulled on her mother's sleeve. Why do they cry for us? Why do they give their lives for strangers? The mother had no answer. She only wept with them. Then came the message. A massive enemy fleet had entered nearby space. Not raiders, not thieves. An alliance of powers who wanted the Thrynn erased forever. Their ships were heavier than mountains. Their weapons older than stars. The human fleet was small. Their supplies were low. Their wounded were many. And yet, not one ship moved to retreat. The captain called his officers around a glowing table of light. They outnumber us 10-1, one officer said. They will break us in hours, another whispered. The captain placed his hand on the table. His voice was steady. Then we will make those hours count. If we fall, it will not be in silence. It will be in fire. And the galaxy will know that we stood for someone when no one else would. The officers bowed their heads. The decision was made. On the ground, the Thrynn gathered. The elders approached the captain. The eldest spoke with trembling hands. We asked only for food, and you gave us your blood. We asked only for water, and you gave us your lives. Why? The captain looked at the broken city, the scared children, the fading stars. His answer was simple. Because humanity remembers what it is like to be small. And we will not let you vanish. Tears ran down the elder's face. In that moment, the Thrynn understood. The battle had not yet come. The enemy had not yet arrived. But already, a sacrifice had been made. For the humans had given their choice, their blood, and their future to a race the galaxy had forgotten. And that sacrifice was about to be tested in fire. The enemy fleet arrived like a storm of fire. Hundreds of ships, their hulls black as night, filled the Thrynn sky. They came with banners of war, with weapons burning like suns. The ground shook as their engines roared. From the broken cities, the Thrynn looked up with fear. They had seen battles before. Always, it ended the same way. Their homes burned, their people taken, their children lost. This time, they expected the same. But the humans were ready. Their fleet, though smaller, spread across the system like a wall of steel. Ships took position around the planet, moving with silent precision. On the ground, cannons turned toward the sky. Thrynn and humans stood shoulder to shoulder in the rubble, waiting for the storm to fall. The enemy commander's voice thundered across every channel. Humans, leave this place. These creatures are nothing. You defend dust. You defend garbage. Stand down and we may let you live. The human captain answered with calm fire. We don't stand down, we stand up. And then, the first shot was fired. The sky exploded in light. Enemy ships rushed forward in tight waves, their weapons tearing through the darkness. Human ships answered with clever fire, striking not where the enemy was, but where they would. Missiles curved, lasers split, and traps hidden in asteroid fields tore into the invaders. Still, the enemy pushed harder. Their ships were too many. Their guns were too strong. One by one, human ships fell, burning across the sky. On the ground, the battle raged. Drop pods crashed into the ruined cities. Alien soldiers taller than 2 men poured out with blades of plasma. The Thrynn shook with fear, but the humans shouted, "Stand with us!" For the first time in centuries, the Thrynn fought. They held rifles in trembling hands, and behind them stood humans who fired with calm skill. Every street became a trap, every ruin a fortress. Children carried ammunition. Mothers pulled the wounded to shelter. The weak were no longer only victims, they were defenders. The enemy commander laughed as his fleet pressed closer. "You cannot win. You are outnumbered. You are broken." But the humans fought differently. They fought not to survive, but to protect. They turned wrecked ships into shields, broken towers into cannons. They used fire, smoke, even silence as weapons. Where one human fell, another rose. Where one Thrynn stumbled, a human hand pulled them back up. Hours passed. The battle turned to fire and ash. The planet itself seemed to bleed. Then, the enemy revealed their final weapon. A massive ship, larger than a mountain, slid from the darkness. Its core glowed red, a weapon designed to erase worlds. The commander's voice filled the air again, sharp and cruel. "Watch as your last hope dies. This world will burn, and you with it." The Thrynn froze in terror. Their shields were broken, their cannons silent. No one could stop a weapon like that. The human captain stood at the front lines, armor broken, face smeared with ash. He watched, the weapon charge, the sky glowing like the heart of a dying star. His voice was low but steady. "Not while we still breathe." He turned to his officers. "We strike it now. Every ship we have left, every gun. We give it everything." The officers nodded. Not one argued. From orbit, the last of the human fleet turned toward the massive ship. Engines burned bright, weapons roared, and they dove into the fire. The sky filled with thunder. The humans charged a weapon that no one else dared to face. On the ground, the Thrynn watched in silence, hearts beating with fear and awe. For this was not survival anymore. This was a stand, and the galaxy would remember it. The legacy. The sky burned. The human fleet, small and broken, hurled itself at the mountain-sized enemy ship. Missiles streaked across the darkness, lasers tore through space, and human pilots shouted last words as they charged headfirst into fire. The enemy's weapon kept building, its red glow spreading like a second sun. If it fired, the Thrynn world would be nothing but ash. "Hold the line," the human captain shouted. His voice carried across comms, steady even as death closed in. "Every second we live is another second they survive. Make it count." One by one, human ships rammed into the monster vessel. Fragments of steel scattered across the void. The enemy commander laughed, certain nothing could stop the weapon. But then, the impossible happened. A single human cruiser, its hull torn open, turned directly into the weapon's core. Engines blazed at full power. Inside, the last crew stayed at their stations, faces calm, hands steady. "Do it," the captain whispered, as if speaking to them across the stars. The cruiser plunged into the glowing heart of the weapon. The sky shattered. A burst of white fire spread like a new dawn. The superweapon cracked apart, its core exploding with the force of a dying star. Enemy ships were torn to pieces, scattering like dust on the wind. On the ground, the Thrynn fell to their knees, their eyes wide with shock. For a moment there was only silence. No guns, no screams, no fear. Only light. When the fire cleared, the human fleet was almost gone. Only a handful of battered ships remained, smoking and scarred. But the enemy was broken, their fleet scattered, their commanders silent. The humans had won. In the ruins of the Thrynn city, the people gathered. The captain stood before them, armor cracked, eyes heavy with grief. He looked at the survivors, both human and Thrynn, and spoke quietly. "You live. That is all that matters. Remember the names of those who fell. Remember why they did it. They gave their lives so you could stand free." The eldest Thrynn elder stepped forward. His hands shook as he spoke. "For centuries, the galaxy abandoned us. They left us to die. But you," his voice broke, "you gave us more than life. You gave us dignity again." Children placed flowers on the graves of human soldiers. Thrynn artisans carved names into stone walls. Songs rose in the night, voices of two races woven together, one of loss but also of hope. Far away, the council watched in silence. They had mocked, they had doubted, but they could not deny what they saw. A forgotten people had survived because humanity refused to let them vanish. The galaxy whispered a new truth. When humans chose to stand, they stood until the end. Years later, the Thrynn rebuilt their world. Their towers rose again, not alone, but with human steel woven into their foundations. Every city carried a banner of both races, a promise written in blood and sacrifice. The story spread across the stars. Children of many worlds whispered it before sleep. Soldiers of forgotten colonies carried it in their hearts. Even those who hated humans could not deny it. The final words of the captain were carved in stone at the heart of the Thrynn capital. Words simple, yet stronger than any weapon. When the galaxy turned away, we stepped forward. Not for power, not for gain, but because no one else would. And so, the legacy of that stand lived on, not only in memory, but in the hearts of every forgotten race who dared to hope again. For the galaxy had witnessed many wars. But this was different. This was humanity.